water, the cosmos, the stars, the and the day and the night, and we talk about it a little in this piece we're doing, and I'm still learning about that. I don't know the entire idea, because when I first saw a mola, I thought it was just a good costume and beautiful design, but they tell the story. Each woman has a different story that she can tell. Some she dreams up, some she knows from the culture, and she makes these, it's reverse, it's appliques, but it's reversed applique. They put layer on layer on layer, and they cut the design in. And some of them are very intricate, but they tell a story about the culture. So it's like a storybook, the mola.
I was talking to Gia yesterday, and she was, I don't know if this, do you know anything about a ceremony, Kuna ceremony, with when a man is going to marry a woman and he sits in a hammock or something like that?
Oh, you know, yeah, well, that culture, one of the silas, the silas are the head men. Although it's a matriarch, the women rule, the men take the orders very well, but they lead. And the silas are in the hammock, but and they tell the story of the culture. It's you know, and they tell people what they should do or should not do. But my father became involved in that somehow. When he was 16, people marry very young, they still do. And the idea is if a man is thrown into a hammock with a young girl, if he gets away, he doesn't have to marry her. But if he stays and they throw him in there for the third time, he has to marry her. And so lately they decided it was better for people to fall in love rather than be thrown in a hammock, because a lot of the men left the island, and there were, you know, some islands were mainly women because they didn't really fall in love. They were just thrown in a hammock. And so the Sila told me that they try not to do that too much anymore, because they rather have the men stay on the islands than run away.
So you're saying there's this island full of women somewhere?
No, but there are more women than men.
Oh, okay.
And yeah,
I was just thinking of my next vacation, so.
Well, you'd love it. Women are very beautiful. My father was thrown into a hammock, and he wasn't fast enough. So for me, it was good, because I have a brother in Kuna Yala, as well as thousands of cousins and aunts and uncles. I have a brother, and that I'm glad I have that brother. He's still alive, older than me. So,
so I want to talk about your theater. Obviously played a big part in your life, and I guess going back to New York now. And you were telling me yesterday a little bit about when you were facing that, I guess, racism and you're being made fun of in school and that. And you said you had to search for people who accepted you and for who you were, and that somehow led you into theater?
Well, it's I met people. Let's see, how did that? I at one time realized that I had to leave where I was born in Brooklyn to go out into the world to find people who would understand and accept me, as well as the people that I was raised with, the native people I was raised with. I had to find, and I wanted to find, other cultures also, other forms of literature, music, dance. And so New York City is just full of that type of culture. And I used to go to drama classes at a very young age, because I said I'd like to find out what makes people move and do things in the movies, because movies are very popular, they still are. And then I wanted to find out how to do that. And then I sang, and I wanted to learn how to get a technique in singing. So I went to drama classes, I went to music classes, I went to dance classes in New York City. And at that time, they were like 25 cents an hour, you know, just amazing. So I went out, and through that, I used to also go to folk dancing, which is dancing, learning dances from all over the world. So in that group of people, I met people from Russia, Italy, Spain, all over the world. And it was very exciting, and I danced, you know, all those dances. And you know, one story, one time I was in a Swedish neighborhood, and I saw some Swedish sailors, which was kind of dangerous, I guess, and they started talking to us, and I said to them, I know how to do a Swedish humbo. And there, I was doing a humbo with one of these sailors in the street. So, you know, but I like that idea of going all over, meeting people, and finding out about their culture and their way of song and literature and dance. And that also got me into drama, you know. And so studying drama, you learn about the Russian Chekhov and Stanislavski, and I put all that into the singing and dancing of the Kuna, or the people that we danced with in New York City, from the Navajo, the Sioux, and we had a few people that stayed in our house from the Iroquois, because the Iroquois came right down from Montreal to Brooklyn because they were construction workers. So we had a lot to do with those people. They're still there, working in New York City. So it's very exciting. I get very excited when I think of it, like a day like this, coming here in Vancouver and meeting all you people, and this roundhouse, long house. And it's very exciting.
Did you find in your work in the theater that would help you? You said, like, you found a group of people that were more accepting of you, and you were able to express yourself, and
yes.
That kind of thing. Did the working in the theater help with your own, I guess, wellness?
Well, there was a lot of challenges, because coming from my background, I realized I had to go to school, and because when you're in the real theater in New York City, they want people with technique, and they want people who can sustain their you know, project their voice. I'm old now, so I don't do it as well as I used to, and do exercises and breathing and everything. And I was into that for years and years and years. I'm getting off, right? But you have to do that in order to keep on moving on the stage, I guess. Keep on doing something on the stage. Although my body is not doing as much, maybe my voice will, maybe my face will, maybe something will. But by doing this, I met people who were interested in me and my background and my difference as a person was interesting to them. That they accepted me and respected me, so that it was very good for my spiritual being. That, oh, maybe they think I'm good looking, or maybe they think I'm smart, and maybe they think I'm worth something. And that all those schooling, all that nurturing helped a lot. And I feel that when I get down sometimes saying, oh, I'm old and I'm nothing, that brings me up, because I know that I have something in me that's strong and beautiful and that's worthwhile. Does that answer your question?
Do you bring like into your performances and some of your shows, do you bring your culture into it? Do you bring some of the things that you were going through? Do you bring that into your performances?
Always. I always use them as, for instance, in Spiderwoman Theater, my first professional group. We organized in 1976, and we had all been studying, the three sisters, we were all studying. I was studying in Oberlin College because I decided that's where I had to go to purify my work. And my sister Muriel was working on her feet, and she was lucky enough to get into a professional theater. My sister Elizabeth, my older sister, she decided to go Broadway, and she was doing things on Broadway. And I always say, because there's a big difference in all three types of theater. So we got together, my sister Muriel, and said she wanted to work with the three of us, the three of us to work together. So we put together, we thought about, at that time it was the women's movement, and we thought about our lives and where we came from and how we survived, and we decided to put this show together called Women in Violence. And we also talked about the violence in our lives, because there was a lot of violence. And we had to talk about stories after stories about the violence in our lives, and there was a heck of a lot. And so we put this story together, and we took it, we were rehearsing it. I left my home for a couple of weeks, and I was living in Ohio, and I went back to New York, and we rehearsed all our stories of violence put together. And at that time, I was also studying in Oberlin College about clowns and clowns' work, and as well as theater, Chekhov and all those guys. And we put stories together, thinking about clowns, thinking about Chekhov, thinking about moving our bodies, thinking about our voices. And we were in New York rehearsing, and someone said there was a big festival going on at the University of Maryland, and entrepreneurs were coming from all over the world. And we were lucky. This is our first year. And people saw us, and they said we were so different. All these women, different shapes and sizes. We had other women, too, in the group, about the three of us and three other women. And they hired us to perform at the university festival. And their entrepreneurs from France, all over the world, saw us, and we were so surprised because they loved us. They said we were so different, and immediately we were invited to go to the World Theater Festival in Nancy, France. And you know, there we were. We didn't even have the car fare to go, but we had a benefit. We found a way to get there, and we were performing our first year in existence in Nancy, France, and the World Theater Festival. And there are people from all over the world, from China, from Spain, from all over, saw us and invited us. So we went to Europe to stay for about 6 weeks. We stayed 6 months. And we went to Belgium, France, Italy, let's say Holland, and I left out a few places, but it was amazing. So we came back full of ideas, experiences. We could go anywhere, so we wrote another show, and we wrote our last performance was about 5 years ago. And we had 25 different shows that we put together and performed all over the world. So that was very exciting, and I have that in me now to help me say, gee, I did a lot, I did a lot, and I hope to do more.
So that was your show, Women in Violence?
The first one.
Okay.
The first one.
And you said it contains stories?
On violence in women's lives.
Are you able to share any of those?
Well, I'll tell you what about. I told a story about almost being raped. My sister told a story about a man beating her up. Everybody, all the women told different stories in their lives, and when one experience we had, we took it to Gila River, the Papago people in that area, and we performed it, and at the end of the show, women came up to me and whispered, that happened to me. I don't talk about it. It happened to me. And every one of us had that experience. Women came to us and said, told us horrible stories about what happened to them. And no one did anything about it. No one talked about it, and they kept it in. And so they said, would we help them with a workshop? So we, the next day, had a workshop with the women, and they started their own drama workshop on these stories, and it just sort of healed them in terms of getting it out. Maybe nobody went to prison or anything like that, but it helped the women to survive. And that one day they gave us the Gila River symbol, and I wear it all the time, because we also discovered not only women who had a lot of guts to tell our stories, because these are stories that nobody wanted to talk about in that particular production, but we also gave women the opportunity to try to do something about the pain and hurt that they had themselves.
So did you ever lose your identity?
My Kuna identity? No. I never lost it. Except one time, I remember I married a white man, and he found it difficult. He became a professor, and in the professor's wives' realm, I had to learn a lot, and I had to try to change and try not to change, but I had to stay me with my identity, because he said to me at one point, you've got to forget about your blankets and beads, and I thought of that, and I said, no, I can't do that, and I was a faculty wife, and I wasn't so great as a faculty wife, but I never lost my identity. I kept it. I hung on to it. If it meant leaving him, I did, because I still have it. Yeah, that's a good question.
Any other questions? Yes, in the back. Do you have children?
Yes, I have a boy, a man, I must say, who's a social worker, and he works at the Minnesota in a building, I guess like this, with the Ojibways. And my daughter is an actress, and she works with me. She's with me here, and she wrote the piece that I'm in now. So I have a grandson who's called Bear Thomas, and he's into rock and roll music, and I guess he's known around here too. Anyone hear about him? He has red powwow or something. Anyone hear about him? What? What do you, electric powwow. Yeah, that's my grandson, Bear.
So the question is there any plans to redo your, remount your Women in Violence or any of your older plays?
It would be nice. I think it might be done with a whole entire different cast. Muriel thought about Muriel, my sister. He worked with my sister. She thought about doing it. I don't know if we would be in it, but when we performed it last, we found that it did fit in. It wasn't old work, you know. It did fit in with what was going on today, because women are still being killed and maimed and thrown away, and it's still going on. And that hurt and that in a cry is still in many women. You know, even if it's a little story, that cry is still there. And so it would be a good idea. I don't know. I don't know if I could be in it, but I'd like to be in it. But my body's getting old now. But you talk to Muriel about it. She might do it. But tell her I want to be in it.
Where's the island where the guy did the ceremony for the young girl? Where was that?
So where's the island where the guy did the ceremony for the young girl when she was having her period?
That's still going on.
But where?
And it's off the coast of Panama, the San Blas Islands. And we call it Kuna Yala. And right now, they are, in that area, fighting Canadian mines who are trying to take over the land. And that's going on right now, and the Kuna people they're not after their lands, but they are working with groups who are fighting for that.
Yeah, they have those like little conferences.
Yes.
Right? Like I know there's one downtown with the Panama natives that were fighting the mines, I think.
And they're different. Are they in town now?
No, this was like about a couple months ago.
Oh yeah, because
when they were fighting the Panama mines, they wanted to make that aware of the people up here.
Yeah,
other natives
yeah.
Up here.
Well, it's a different group, but the Kuna are working with that group.
Oh.
And it's going on now, and that's the reason. Because we had a Kuna director directing our piece that we're performing, and he couldn't get a visa to come here and direct us here.
So once again, thank you everybody.
Thank you.